What's going on, fellas? Welcome to Week 5 of the NFL slate. Guys, we're not doing well. Uh, there's just nothing to be proud of right now. I wish I had something better to say. I mean, last week or last year, I was like barely above 500 and like lost by a long shot, and now we're like scrapping for anything we can. So I mean, we have to do better this year, or better like going forward. We're 4-16-1, or we are like what 6-11-3 in week 3. Like that's not good. I don't know. I don't know. Do we have to go to church? I don't know. I mean, I'll touch all the dolls I have to touch. I'll do whatever I have to do. I'll scrap and I will fight and never surrender, as Corey Hart would say. Real quick, I used to do a week in and week out like a Pistons weekly thing here, but I'll do NBA Finals weekly right now. I mean, guys, I know there's a lot going on in the world, and there's probably a lot of reasons that like a lot of people aren't tuning in to the NBA right now. Last night was probably a top 5 NBA Finals game I've ever watched in my life. I had no money on the game, no home team in the game, obviously, and I was standing up in my living room clapping. I love Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets. I was waiting that entire game because LeBron was like peak powers. LeBron was like on the top rope with his hands up, ready to drop the elbow like Macho Man Randy Savage all night long. I mean, LeBron puts up 40, 6 for 8 from three-point land. And Jimmy just wouldn't go away. It was amazing to watch. And, you know, like, the Lakers are probably going to win the series. But I want you guys to tell me, ladies and gents, tell me, is there any NBA player that's lifted his status more than Jimmy Butler has in like a 4-game stretch here where he's going head-to-head, toe-to-toe with potentially the best player of all time? He's guarding him and playing 48 minutes a game, putting up triple-doubles, and just doesn't quit. I mean, he's amazing. I enjoyed the game last night, and I mean, I hope I get to see a Game 7. I'm going to have a little conflict of interest tomorrow night. You know, I don't know what I'm going to watch. I mean, I think I'm going to, like, tune in at, you know, when I get home from work tomorrow, and I might sneak in that NBA Finals game before I dive into the NFL, just out of fun. Last night's game was fun to watch. So, I don't know, do yourself a favor, DVR it, whatever you got to do. Maybe you tune in for a few. Maybe you catch the last 5 minutes if it's close, and enjoy, like, what Jimmy B and Miami Jimmy Buckets, what he's doing out there. Anyways, quick stat that I like to check in on every week. We're kind of running out of the 0-4 teams, but we have 0-4 teams on the slate this week, and 0-4 teams are. I would have thought that like their week 5 line, like I would have thought that like they would be like overinflated, and they would probably be really good against the spread. Like it would be the sharp play to take the 0-4 teams, but really it's exactly the opposite. Since 2003, 0-4 teams are 0-4 teams at home are 4-16-1 against the spread going into week 5. That blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, maybe some of us, us public bettors, like, do we overthink things? I don't know. So, let's do the regular, guys. Let's go into the don'ts, and then we'll get into the do's. Let's go down to Baltimore, Maryland, where the Ravens are hosting the Bengals. Ravens opened up at 13-point favorites. It's at 12.5 now, but it's a huge double-digit spread. I would lean Bengals here just because of Joey covers. Not just because of Joey covers, but Joey covers. Joey covers. Joe Burrow, undefeated against the spread in his career. Gotta love it. Gotta love the fact that divisional games, John Harbaugh at home, 11-20-1 against the spread. But I couldn't pull the trigger. I want to take the double digits there, but I can't do it, so we'll fade that game. Let's go out to Kansas City. Very close game. I wanted to bet the Chiefs here. Definitely lean Chiefs here. Chiefs laying 11.5 points. Opened up at 13-point favorites. I don't know. I just kind of looked into like some of the individual stats here. Derek Carr is terrible in Arrowhead Stadium. He's thrown 4 touchdowns in his career and 7 interceptions. That's not good, ladies and gentlemen. You want to throw more touchdowns than interceptions, preferably like 2-1. And he's almost the other way around. Mahomes 10-1-1 against the spread at home as a favorite over his last 12 games. Andy Reid 6-1 against the spread versus the Las Vegas Raiders at home. All that, but you know me, I don't like laying double digits. I really don't. I just think it's too easy to get a backdoor cover. Let's go out to the Battle of Pennsylvania, where we have the Philadelphia Eagles catching a solid 7 points. They've been catching that 7 points all week. That line has not moved, despite 66% of the bets, 83% of the money on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it makes sense. The travel that Philadelphia had to do this week, they went from, they didn't get home to Philly till, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Short week for Philly, long week for Pittsburgh. They went off the pseudo bye week last week with the COVID stuff. And, that's why, I don't know. I want to take Pittsburgh here. I definitely lean Pittsburgh. I even look at, last week's victory for the Philadelphia Eagles, which I was a benefactor of, got my lone win, and I couldn't put it in best picks of the week because literally I'm watching that game last week with Philly at San Fran, and I'm hoping for good punts and field position out of a professional football team. And what am I watching? Philly gets a good backdoor cover there. Probably partly due to poor quarterbacking for the 49ers playing their second and third string quarterbacks, but nevertheless, Philly gets cover, gets the win outright. So I just thought it was too weird that that line hasn't moved at all. So I just stay off it, lay in the solid 7. I would lean Pittsburgh there though. Let's go out to Houston, Texas, where the Houston Texans are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags catching 5.5 here, opened up as 6.5 point dogs, and I think Houston's better. But with all that turmoil there and the fact that I used to love betting against Romeo Crennel as a head coach 20 years ago, and now he's 75 years old, and I'd love to bet against him here, so it's a conflict of interest for me. I lay off. That's about it. I can't stomach taking the Jaguars after, losses to Miami and lost last week. It was tough to see them put up points last week and just shit the bed. Joey Covers got me again, and I can't do it. I can't do it this week. Let's go to Cleveland. The mistake by the lake. Cleveland Browns are hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Colts laying 1 on our line, opened up at 2.5 point favorites. That game's moved to a pick 'em now, and I would lean Colts here, and I would have leaned Colts at 2.5. I would have leaned Colts at 1. I would have leaned Colts at pick 'em, just looking at it in the bubble. But a lot of late money, big betting groups have put money on the Browns here. That, to me, I would think it'd be the opposite way. The Browns get the big win last week, and I would think a lot of big money would, say, oh, well, the Browns, got a game in Dallas where Dallas blows games all the time. And no, the sharp money's on the Browns here, and that's just so weird to me. So I just have to lay off. I would lean Colts here, but I wouldn't blame you for playing the numbers there. I think the Colts defense is good. They're legitimately good. I think they're a legitimately good football team. And so I lean Colts. Let's just go out to Seattle for Sunday Night Football real quick here, where we have the Vikings catching 7 points. Opened up catching 9. That's down to 7. I think this is appropriate line movement here. I'm not all that, we've got money coming in on a lot of big money coming in on Minnesota throughout the week, catching that, over 7 number. We've moved down to the solid 7 here, so I could see that catching the breaks, on the Vikings. Like you could see a possibility like this, tomorrow, where a lot of players in Vegas are, a lot of the public money in Vegas will lose money during the day, and they got to play that Sunday night game, and they say, okay, well, good, I can catch the Seahawks at 7, and they pile on at, Vegas time would be, 3:30, and I do think that a lot of sharp money would come in on the Seahawks if that number gets to 6.5, and I think that's right where this game lands, because, Seattle, we talked about it last week. What do they really do in their games? They win by 1 possession, and if this game is, out over 1 possession, I see money coming in on the Vikings, and if this game is within 1 possession, I could see money coming in on Seattle. So I don't know what to do there. I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy. Especially in prime time, he's like 6-16-1 in prime time games, plus like that 4 o'clock window on Sunday. So could you see a shit the bed game out of Kirk Cousins? Yes, you could. And I can't stomach playing the Vikings here. I would lean Vikings though. We're there. We have a shortened slate this week, so let's get to the dudes. Oh man, I got to break up with you. The Falcons, like I said last week, are that girlfriend, that lady that you see on the side, and there's some fun times, and there hasn't been many fun times lately for the Falcons. It's like I called the Falcons earlier tonight at about 7:30 and asked if they wanted to hang out, and they just haven't texted me back. They haven't called me. So I want to be like, hey, I have better things to do with my life, like bet on a better football team like the Carolina Panthers, but I really want to be with you. And they didn't get back to me. They didn't call. They didn't text back. They didn't even make up an excuse. They just ghosted me. So I go Carolina here for a couple of reasons. Teddy Bridgewater, 30-9 against the spread as a starting quarterback. That's a good ROI right there. And I'm just going to get on the good side of it right now. Take the Panthers. Give me the point. Panthers win outright. We talked about it the last couple of weeks. I think the Panthers might be one of the best values in football right now because of Christian McCaffrey's out. But Mike Davis is fine, and McCaffrey shouldn't be like a 3-point, push. He should be like a 1.5 push. The Panthers have played more efficient without McCaffrey than they did they played more efficient without McCaffrey than they did with McCaffrey. So go Panthers. Let's go. Let's get out to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. This is my favorite game of the week. This is my teaser blow-up of the week, where I think that if you're teasing the Rams down to a half point or a point or wherever you got to tease them down to, I think you're in real trouble. For a few reasons. We got some reverse line movement here. Rams opened up as 9.5-point favorites, down to 7.5. We have 45% of the bets, 30% of the money on the Washington Redskins, so that line should move the other way, and Vegas is begging you to take the Rams. When Vegas begs you to take a team, go the other way. I go Washington here for a couple of reasons more. I like the quarterback change. Dwayne Haskins has been a dumpster fire throughout his entire career. Now, he's young, and I'm not totally giving up on him. I am. If I was prognosticating, I would say Dwayne Haskins is never going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. He's not even going to reach the status of Matt Stafford or any of the quarterbacks that are in that mediocre tier. He's just not going to. That's my opinion. But the fact that the Redskins, at this point, are 1-3, they have a chance to win that division, and are making a aggressive change with a good head coach, I like that. I think they have faith in Kyle Allen. Not that he's, his ceiling is so much higher. He's so great. No, we can win some football games here. I like that Antonio Gibson kid. He's getting more and more involved in the offense week in and week out. And really, the Deadskins' defense really isn't that bad. And the Deadskins have averaged 23.5 points per game on the season. So you're telling me if that average works out that the Rams have got to put up 31 in Washington. And I just don't see that happening. I see this as, maybe a Rams victory, 28-24, somewhere in that range. So go ahead. Give me the Washington, soon-to-be professional football team. Let's go out to the New York Jets versus the Arizona Cardinals. Jets are catching 7.5, down from 8.5, and I wish I could get this game at 7. But I'm going to take the Cards here, laying the 7.5. I hate laying that extra hook. I do feel like I lose a ton of value there. But I feel like I'm buying the Cards here on like a buy low spot. The Cards have had losses to the Lions, which is a bad loss. It's a bad loss to the Lions. But, this traveling out to Carolina and losing to the Panthers, I think that's not that bad of a loss, and I think the public sees it as a bad loss. I think that's a predictable loss for the Cardinals, and they've had good wins this year, like a good win against the 49ers in Week 1. I like Kyler Murray, and I think Adam Gase, really, he's just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm still employed? I mean, Adam Gase woke up Monday morning and was like, all right, cool. Like, he left the laptop at home, he left everything at home, or at the facility. Like, cool. Like, Gase had plans in Cabo this weekend, and you guys are screwing him up by not firing him. Him and his wife are going to be sipping margaritas Sunday morning. Instead, now he's got a plan against, like, probably the best weapons he's played against all year long. Like, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, D-Hop, having big weeks this week. Go Cards. Let's go out to San Francisco, where the Niners are hosting the Miami Dolphins. Solid 9 all week on this line. Dolphins catch 9. I go Dolphins here. I just wasn't impressed with the Niners last week. They should have won that game against the 49ers. George Kittle could very well go off again this week. He went off last week, and it might not matter. And in reality, if you look at the Dolphins last week, the Dolphins, again, kind of like I was talking about with the Redskins, or that's Washington football team, really last week they should have covered. They played a close game, and they made some terrible mistakes. And that's a team that stuck with Ryan Fitzpatrick this week instead of going to Tua when you're 1-3. And we're 1-3. Let's get the new. No, we're staying with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I think that the Dolphins can keep that game close in San Fran, and giving me 9 points, that's a huge number. And I'm just not that impressed with what San Fran's done. San Fran can win this game, definitely, straight up, but 9 points is just too much value there for the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins. Let's move on to the Big D. I met a new girlfriend. We went out last week. We had a great talk. She kissed me when we left, and I thought things were going to be great. But then she hadn't called me for a few days. But then she texted me last night, and she was like, hey, we're good. Let's go out again next Monday night, and we'll do the same thing, and maybe we'll get to the next base. And I looked at the matchup this week, and the Giants open up catching 11.5 points. We're down to 8.5. A lot of heavy money on the Giants early in the week. That line has kind of moved appropriately, so I'm not that concerned about that. And really, in reality, the Giants have scored 16, 17, 9, and 17 points week by week this year. So they scored 15 points a game. The Cowboys have scored 17, 40, 30, and 38. Now I know they've been behind, but I mean that's a lot of points they've scored. So you're telling me that if New York only scores 15 points, that the Cowboys only have to score 24. I know the Cowboys are a little beat up on defense, but I think this is a get-right game for the Cowboys. They have to have this victory, and I think this game's going to be a blowout. I think it's a 41-10 game. Staring the Giants right in the face. That's all I got for this week, guys. I'm going to keep it under 20 minutes. Under 20 minutes. Good job, Dave. I will see you guys soon. I'm actually not. I'm working tomorrow, but I've got a little solid 3-day plan for next week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. I'm going to be indulging and texting like crazy. So I will talk to you guys probably Monday about 3 p.m. Go Heat. Go Picks. Go Dave. We'll see you guys soon.